Hello and welcome back to the third rail. The Layout 2025 series continues. In the last episode, we did a bit of unplanned turnout maintenance, installed the transformers required for the layout, then configured the first isolated power circuits for the mainline loops. Today, we will get one step closer to automation by configuring all mainline blocks. This will involve installing signals, a few safety features, as well as some 21st century touches in the form of wireless controllers. By the end of the video, we should be able to operate the mainlines remotely. We'll also cover a few related topics based on some of your questions along the way. Throughout the series, links to the track plan in several formats will be available in the video description. Given the length of this video, again, chapters are set up for ease of navigation. Last thing before we set off, if you end up liking this video, and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe and alert button before leaving today. Super thanks are also available if you feel the content deserves it. Whatever the option you choose will be much appreciated. Many thanks. Now, let's head over to the room. And there we are. I have laid out the stuff we'll need for this episode, but first let me bring you up to speed on a few things I took care of since the last video. I have started the wiring, and I have been quite busy under the board where I spent a few hours on the most annoying part, which was to connect all the track power feeds. They require the longest wire runs from the most difficult to reach spots. I have used a star-shaped topology where each power feed has a direct connection to a central point. I have routed the wiring for both inner and outer loops along the frames. Everything is held in place with self-adhesive cable clips in two sizes. They are easy to use and cheap. They are sold in bags of 100 for only a few pounds. The odd one might fall out here and there after a while, but usually only if they are overloaded. They are perfectly fine for my purposes. This routing required a bit more wiring, but kept everything within specifications. The longest wire length is just under 2.5 meters, still quite away from the 5-meter maximum recommended by Märklin when using their thinner wiring. I use 7-strand 0.22 square millimeter wire, which is slightly thicker. This routing will give me free hand to drill holes in complete safety when the time comes to install the station and depot. Everything terminates on distribution plates. We have one for each red connection of the driving transformers and a group of plates for common ground. I have kept to the Märklin system's wire color scheme, and I have labeled anything not immediately obvious from the color scheme alone. So in this case, the plates for the red transformer connections and the feed wires for the inner loop along the frame. And if the use of the good old Märklin 7209 distribution plates wasn't a good enough indication, yes, I am still using the old-style connectors Märklin used until the early 2000s. They are good enough for the job, and I have plenty of them. They are also still available to buy new or used from many suppliers, but there are far better connectors around today. The only place where these plugs are mandatory are older Märklin accessories fitted with matching ports. These would be the old control boxes, older blue ones, and a few early white models, the turntable, the transfer table, and the control tracks. Everywhere else you can use whatever you like as long as it is of good quality. and able to handle current spikes of several amps if you are going to use them with solenoids. Stay well away from these little things, for example. They cannot handle the load and melt, causing loss of contact or even shorts. Ask me how I know. As mentioned already, the exercise took a few hours. It wasn't too complicated, but it wasn't easy to work in a confined space, and I had to navigate around my silly trestle system I use. I'll definitely look at fitting legs to my boards next time. But this was the most difficult bit of wiring to do. Things should get much easier from here. Famous last words. We'll see. I still need to install the lighting circuits, but I need to have signals in position to decide on how I am going to route and distribute them. So this brings us to today's main topic. We will be installing signals around the main lines today. I will be using M-Track signals, of course. I don't need to state how critical they are to the operation of a layout, so it is worth checking they are operational before installation. A signal should change aspect as soon as one of its control wires is grounded. As with turnouts, the lighting requires the base of the signal to be connected to ground, either using a base plate inserted under the trackbed, or using the ground port on the side of the signal. When talking about aspects, I am simply going to use green and red throughout the video. Apologies to the purists, but that will be easier for most. When the signal aspect is set to green, the two red wires should have conductivity. You can check that with a multimeter or even a simple light bulb. The same applies to the connectivity between the two catenary ports on the side of the signal near the mast. If the aspect change is delayed or interrupted, the first point to check is the movement of the arm. When moving it by hand, one should feel a tiny bit of drag from the solenoid lever, but no resistance or locking. If this happens, check that the arm rod is not rubbing against a side of the mast opening on the base cover. If it is, it could simply be that the cover is not positioned properly, which is very easy to get wrong and happens frequently. Otherwise, most issues have to do with the mast assembly. Usually a misalignment or a bent part will be interfering with the solenoid lever. The mast should always stand at 90 degrees, not wobble, and the arm lever should be perpendicular to the solenoid lever. The most common issues would involve a loose screw on the base of the assembly, or bent parts, for example the mast bracket on the signal base, or the arm lever or even rod, all of which would need to be straightened to re-establish free motion. A more detailed look would have pushed this video over the 40 minutes mark, so I had to cut this part of the script out. I could use it to make a dedicated Little Helper video though. Let me know if you'd be interested in the comment section and I'll react accordingly. On the maintenance side of things, as with turnouts, no lubricant should ever be applied anywhere on a signal. Contacts on the side of the solenoid lever can be cleaned with a bit of contact cleaner or alcohol. For the bulbs, they are the same as for the turnouts on arm signals, so it is reference number E600000, still available from Märklin, and also sold by third-party suppliers as MS4 bulbs in incandescent or LED fitted versions. The flat connectors for the red wires are no longer made, I think. The part used to be sold separately, and I even managed to buy a new bag of them a few years back, but I cannot find the reference number anywhere. You can still find some new old stock as part of the connection kit 5004 that still comes up for sale fairly regularly on auction sites. But it is not the end of the world if these little connectors are missing. A wire can simply be directly soldered to the center contact on the track instead. Okay, we have checked our signals. Now let's talk about blocks. By installing signals, we will be dividing the main lines into blocks. Together, they will form a block system that we will automate at a later stage in the series. The most important function of a block is to stop trains, and we'll need to pay particular attention to this aspect to ensure locomotives do so reliably. Signals control traffic using a stopping section. Generic guidelines recommend a distance equivalent to 2 full-length track segments, that's 36 centimeters for most locomotives traveling at a reasonable speed. For some models, older heavier locos for example, but not always, the recommendation is to increase the stopping section to 3 full-length track segments or 54 centimeters. These guidelines are perfectly fine for manual operations. With automation come additional challenges, as this involves multiple trains. Each locomotive has different driving characteristics, and we don't have the luxury of individual speed control in analog, as the speed is set centrally for the entire track. A low-speed throttle setting for one locomotive might produce a much higher speed on another. Some locomotives stop practically on the spot, whilst others develop more and more inertia as the speed of travel increases, and they will struggle to stop within a 36 centimeter or even an extended 54 centimeter stopping section. Lengthening stopping sections would work for troublesome locomotives, but this would likely come at the cost of the maximum train length for others, as these would stop much earlier, before the entire train has fully entered the block, which would be a problem. We need trains to stop in a predictable and safe manner. I work around this issue with braking sections. A braking section consists of an isolated section of a few track lengths located just before the stopping section. They are equipped with this little homemade module controlling the power to the center rail. The module toggles between two states. It either feeds the full mainline power or drops the mainline voltage by just under 3 volts. A relay toggles between the two states based on the aspect of the signal. I described the circuit in an older video, and I've put a little link at the top now. When the signal is green, the module is on full power, and trains pass at normal mainline speed. When the signal changes to red, the module state changes to reduced mainline power, and trains will slow down on the braking section just enough to reliably stop within a shorter stopping section. Avid followers of the channel will have already seen the process in action on the previous layout. With braking sections in place, I will keep all stopping sections to a 2-track length. Okay, time to set up our first block. Let me take a few things apart first. I have also already pre-drilled all the holes I will need. Okay, let's proceed step by step, stopping section first. For the uninitiated, the center contacts at each end need isolating. I am using a bit of electrical tape. It's the same as we did for the main lines in the last episode. Now, let's connect the signal to the track. I'll insert one of the flat connectors in between track segments within the stopping section, and the other one further ahead to tap the mainline power. Then I'll drop the signal wires through the hole I pre-drilled, and I can put the signal in its more or less final position. Okay, now the braking section. This needs isolating too. One end is already taken care of. That was done with the stopping section. I'll isolate the center contact on the other end. I have soldered a wire on the center contact of one of the track segments. That's for the power control to the braking section. So we'll drop this one too. And we can put the track back together. Okay, now let's move under the board for the next steps. We'll take care of the braking module first. The module itself is in position. It is just held with some wire passed through staples. This saves fighting with screws whilst working overhead. We'll first fit the wire we just dropped, so for the track, then connect the mainline power. I just tapped into the track power feed I had laid in the area here, and fit the power and control wires. The other ends of the control wires simply plug into the signal control wires, and the yellow wire goes into a distribution plate for the lighting circuit I installed closer to the signal. All we need now are controls, and here again I am doing things my way. The standard way to control signals and turnouts would be to install a control box, like this one. I'm pretty sure most of you will be familiar with it. It needs a ground connection and a pair of control wires connected to each accessory. This adds up pretty quickly and can get quite complex. I'd need about 15 meters of wiring in addition to lighting for the mainline signals alone on this layout. To avoid having to lay all this additional wiring, I have developed little wireless controllers. They have the same footprint as a signal base. I designed them to be installed trackside using a Märklin signal base plate. They are inserted in the lighting circuit that would normally be required by the accessory, and its existing wires are simply plugged into the controller. The only additional connection required is a ground connection, usually through the track bed using a modified catenary mast base. Each module can control 2 accessories and consumes roughly the same power as the light bulb used in a turnout or signal. The module can be operated in many ways. There is an onboard menu that can be accessed over Wi-Fi using a web browser, or it could be used with a model railway control software such as JMRI or Rockrail today. Now, this functionality wasn't fully implemented a few years back, and I found the user experience in those packages far too complex for my needs. So I ended up developing my own application. It runs on a Raspberry Pi. It's this little box here with the computer inside, and it communicates with the modules via Wi-Fi. I access the application using my tablet, and I can control the layout by tapping buttons on a dashboard, but also perform all the tasks required to add, remove, or configure devices. I shall plug the Raspberry Pi back in. Hold on, and we can start the application. There it is. That's the dashboard with a leftover panel from the previous layout. I am going to configure the controller for our block. It is already powered up and it should have joined the Wi-Fi network automatically. So it should be available in the application. Yes, there it is. And I'm going to select its configuration. It should control signal 13 and turn out 14, so that would be on switch 7. The application then takes over and configures all the parameters on the controller. The process takes about a minute in real time. And after a manual configuration of the display labels, the dashboard displays a new switch panel. Now let's test it. The turnout is connected to the ports that will be used for signal 13. OK. Let me move the wires to the other ports. And the signal responds to commands on turnout 14. So we're all good. I must say I still find this pretty neat. Now let's install the controller. There we go. We have the wiring for our block signal and the braking module on one side, and the turnout on the other. The controller is connected to the lighting circuit, and if we go back at track level, I have fitted a ground connection to the signal base. Are things still working? Signal? Yep. Turnout also okay. Alright, let's try a locomotive. So it is travelling along, the signal is green, and the speed remains constant. Let's do the same with the red signal now. We are getting to the braking section. We are slowing down now, and we are stopping. Excellent! All I need to do now is to set up all the remaining blocks on the main line. And we are back. It has taken a few days, 1 hour at a time here and there, and all the mainline signals I needed at this stage are now set up. I was short of a braking module, so I had to order a batch of circuit boards which are still on their way, so I'll do without it for now. The first signal I installed had developed a fault, so I had to swap it. I also had to make a few numbering changes. I made some signs for the accessories. They should be very helpful over the next few months, as it usually takes me a bit of time to get comfortable with the operation of a new layout. They are simple 2 cm wooden cubes like the ones we have on the flat wagon there, with some Dymo labels for the numbers. I have also tweaked the track a bit so things align a bit better from the left-hand loop to the crossing. It is still not perfect, as I am not exactly following the M-Track geometry here, but should give us a smoother ride. I have updated the rail modeler plan with these and the numbering changes too. Now let's talk about the next steps. I am going to do a bit more testing with different types of locomotives and rolling stock to check everything behaves as it should. All being well, I'll then set up the automatic block system. It's a multifaceted topic we'll cover in depth in the next episode. So hopefully we should see 5 trains automatically following each other along a long route, incorporating the inner and outer loops next time. But that was it for this episode. This was a long one again, so thank you very much for spending so much of your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, hopefully enough for you to give it a like, maybe subscribe if you haven't already done so, or even send a super thanks my way if you feel the video was worth it. Thanks as ever for your support, and bye for now.